Welcome to this session again about Reviving Research 2022 of SLIT Uni. My topic today is From Frying Pan to Fire, Unprecedented Challenges of COVID-19 on People who are blind in this part of the world, Sri Lanka. I am the team leader for a head research project on persons with visual impairment and blindness. And I'm going to take the next 10 minutes or so to discuss this matter. Now, this is about COVID-19. We all know that we have been inundated with problems. Universities were closed and all. On the other hand, this topic is focusing on the people who are blind or visual impaired. Blind or visual impaired means that their vision issue cannot be corrected using medical or other interventions. Now, as this point, our question we are trying to understand is how do COVID-19 pandemic has impacted on the lives of people with visual impairment and blindness. Now, when I use these two terms, visual impairment and blindness, these people, in the world, it's a range. Like on one hand, we can see things. On the other corner, there are people who are blind, who cannot see, or born blind, who cannot see anything. So important thing is, it is very significant and only little has been examined in this area because pandemic itself is new. To give an introduction to blindness, I can see the people who are around. We use 5 senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. All those sensors for us to get information and share information to do our work. Now, in this category of people who are blind, one sense, one of the most important senses, a complex sensory modality, is out. So along with that, with this social distancing, wearing mask, and whatever, all these things, how does this impact on the lives? That is our main issue. Just to give a background, some facts about people who are blind. Globally, there are 285 million people. Now, these again is a 2012 statistics. You might wonder why later statistics are not there. This is measured, or this is estimated regularly, and we can say about 300 million are visually disabled. Now, which is about 8% of the population in Sri Lanka has some form of functional disability. This is not only blindness, but out of this 8%, approximately 62% of them are visually disabled. We can say that out of the disabled community per se, most vulnerable compared to other disabilities are these people. But remember, only issue is their vision problem. So disabled people in developing countries rely on mostly self-employment and informal sector. It doesn't mean that there are 1 or 2 couple of people who are working in good places. Right. The issue again, people with blindness are restricted to 4 senses. They are vulnerable section in the community. Generally, they come from poverty-stricken families. Most of them depend on other people for day-to-day living. One example, now you may have seen that people with blindness, they come and sell some incense sticks or the panikaju or something, but they really sell not the product, but blindness itself. So mainly in developing countries, they depend on other people. Therefore, I have said that they are in frying pan. Anyway, with the COVID-19, they have gone down to the fire. That is the issue. Now, the methodology per se, this is a qualitative study, purely qualitative study. Why we had selected qualitative? This is a new situation. We have to go into deeply into this real background, real data. So we have captured the data in two phases. First two waves, we talked about 36 people during July, August 2020, and later, second phase, we discuss a further 12 people after May 21. The cross-section, employed, unemployed, everyone around this age group. And we met, we had discussions with the organizations, blind organizations, their presidents, secretaries, everyone. Now, telephone interview was the main method of interviewing because of restrictions especially. So interview transcripts, what we got from Sinhala was translated to English, analyzed, transcribed, analyzed through word cloud and thematic analysis technique. So that's the methodology as such. So as for findings, mobility and transportation, the issues related to these people, mobility and transportation issues, acquisition of daily needs, groceries, medicines, etc., income earning opportunities, information and communication related issues, social interactions and education, and infection itself. Those are the 6 areas that we found. And the mobility, and if we go into mobility and transportation, now this is how we did the thematic analysis. And these are some data or findings coming from these people. But I'm not going to give details of each and every one, but I will briefly say mobility and transportation. In my school, the teachers as well as my students holding the elbow, now holding the elbow and take me to school. I mean, this teacher says when he goes to the school from the gate or someplace, everyone help, touching. Now the question is, this touching is restricted, no touch, because of COVID-19 medical restriction. How can they walk? How can they do? So travel alone, especially in Sri Lankan environment, where there are no tactiles, there are no special sort of guidelines for this one, and people are also not sometimes taking much attention. So there are many difficulties in this. So the chairman of the National Federation of the Blind says, it is difficult to travel on roads with only white cane alone. Always they get people's help. Now people's help was restricted. Acquisition of daily needs. Now, when a person, especially the people with blindness, they go, they check whether a piece of dry fish is good or not, touch and smell. Both were restricted. Their face is closed with a face mask, and you are not allowed to touch. Now, those are major issues. Next. Now, those who engage in employment, I must tell you that most of these employment are, most of these are dependent. Now, the chairman of Dushabad Janata Sammelana said, about 60 to 70% of our people engage in self-employed, such as selling books, lottery tickets, and all that. As I said, they not really sell the ticket or the book, but their blindness. So when the people are not gathering in places, when people have various issues themselves in the society, how can they live? That is where this one. There's a massage therapist who has been doing well in their business, but no massage is allowed. He says, I am now jobless. Getting information. Now, in bank, shops and all that, any other time, we ask people, we touch people, people help. Now people are not, they are scared to come and get closer to us. Now, some people use the SMS messages. Now, these SMS messages are also restricted to these people. Education, social interaction, that is very, very restricted. One teacher said, I live in a separate small house close to my sister's home. Other days, she brings meals and give it to us. And we had a little chat and all that. Now, she comes and just leave that food near at a place. And I have to only way I can sort of communicate with the society is getting 1 or 2 calls once. Education has been totally restricted. Now, blind schools have been closed. There were a lot of problems there. Other schools also have been closed, but sometimes they have the online education and all that. But here, it's totally, absolutely out. Now, contracting COVID-19 is an issue for everyone. But the question is, hospitals refuse to take these because there are no facilities to look after them. There was an incident where in Ambantoka, that particular the elders' home with people with blindness, they have this problem, and they had no way to overcome this. So some were died even without proper medical the facilities. Now, there was a blind girl said, my father got infected with COVID and he was taken to hospital. I am with my mother. We are very worried that both of us might get infected. My mother is very worried that she may also have to leave. So I, as a blind person, how can I live? So, and when we talk about all these things, this matter has not been given due recognition by the policy makers. Now, these disability sensitive response mechanisms are not involved. Now, suddenly the government decides that, okay, face mask, social distancing, that type of thing. True, we have to adhere to that, but these people also will have to be take into account when these policy issues are being, policies are being sort of introduced. The inclusive service approaches and social inclusion. For example, when these groups are put in one place and put it as, their hostels have been closed and all that. So there are a lot of issues. So social assistance should cope with these things. Now, in other countries, sometimes this type of people with disabilities are being well looked after. Unfortunately, we have not done that. That is where the issue is. So one limitation in our research is that ethnic representation is less because we did this mostly in the southern part of Sri Lanka, but problems appear to be mostly the same. There are some references, and I must tell you that this particular paper, the first version, has been published in Disability and Society, one of the best journals in the world, the top-ranking journals, in the title, A Nightmare in the Darker World, Persons with Blindness Under Sri Lanka's COVID-19 Shutdown. And this issue has to be dealt with in detail, and policymakers should take good they have to respond to these people, this community. We have to kindly acknowledge the World Bank ICT HIT project on quality of life and employability potential of persons with visual impairment blindness of Sri Business School for all these supporting this particular project. Thank you very much. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.